Excited to begin the NAU Country Connection webinar series. The series is designed to keep us up to date on the relevant topics in conjunction with the crop insurance cycle. Today's webinar, we're going to kick off a series of webinars to focus on working remotely, centered around the safety and security and creating agency efficiencies. With the COVID-19 pandemic, we want to ensure that all of our agents are safe, and just as important as our agents is the producers they serve. A lot of those producers, as you well know, are in the upper age category and at high risk. So we want to make sure we're doing our part to keep everyone safe during these troubling times. Just as important with the safety, we want to make sure their data is secure. We can't just be sending unsecured documents back and forth with all their important data. So we're going to focus on that. And then, all the tools that we are designing are to create agency efficiencies.
171 COVID-19.
What will emerge or what the new normal will be after the pandemic is over. All of you probably know producers that are up there in age, and they're all Zooming their grandkids. So we want our agents to be positioned, well positioned to take advantage of the shifting technology and communication advancements. With that being said, I'll turn it over to Adam, who has some other instructions on the webinar, and we'll get started. Adam, the floor is yours.
Very good. Thanks a lot, Jeff. Like Jeff said, my name is Adam Flynn. I work here with NAU within our IT department. And today we're going to start off these series of webinars with kind of a baseline, which we'll then build from with each webinar going forward. And so today we're going to start with just looking at how to utilize our eSign process. You'll notice I am recording this. We are going to upload these videos to a new playlist that we're going to create on our YouTube channel, and that way you can view this and reference these calls at any time during the future. Also, I do have everyone on mute today. Reason for that is just because we do have quite a bit of participants, which is great and awesome to see. But just because of the issue with feedback and things like that, we're actually going to keep everyone on mute today. And if you do have any questions, you can certainly utilize the chat, which you can see is going, have a couple messages there already. As well, if you have any questions later on down the road, what we really also want to achieve today is to drive any questions to your marketing reps and or underwriters. They're all chomping at the bit to certainly help you guys out and support you in any way they can. And so any questions that you may have, we would really like to see those going to your marketing reps and underwriters. They've all seen this before and are very familiar with how it works. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and just jump right in and take a look at our eSign process. What you should see here, I am sharing my screen, is EasyWriter Pro. And from within EasyWriter Pro is where our eSign process lives. And what I mean by that is the document that you want to utilize or send has to be generated from within EasyWriter Pro. From within EasyWriter Pro, you can do this three different ways. You can either do it through batch printing, which is located here on the documents dropdown, first option there. You can do it from the commit process. So if we were to go into a policy, say report production, and then commit that policy, you would have the option to select to add a new document, and you can utilize the e-process there. Or what we're going to do today is just for simplicity's sake, is that you can go through the document manager. You can find the document manager by selecting this documents tab from within the policy. So it's different from this documents. So from within the policy, select documents tab, and then that first large icon right there, policy documents. And this is going to bring up what we call the document manager. And this is, again, where the third way you can utilize our eSign process. All three, that being batch printing, commit process, or document manager, all are the exact same steps. The only difference is where you're going to initiate the process, obviously being the three different spots there. So for today, like I said, we'll use document manager, and I'm just going to go ahead and select to add a new document. To do that, I'm just going to select this little button here I have highlighted, which will bring up most likely a familiar screen, which is the Add Policy Documents window. This window you would see, again, whether through batch printing, commit process, or obviously here, the Document Manager. Today we're going to use the APH report as an example, mostly just because that's the most up and coming deadline coming with the production reporting deadline for spring crops here. So we're going to go ahead and just utilize an APH report. With that being said, any document that you can generate from within this list can use the eSign process. So you can see they're a pretty good sized list. Today, we're just going to stick with the actual production history database report. So I'm going to go ahead and just select the add button here, which will bring it down to this grid here. We haven't actually quite started the eSign process, as you can see here, but I simply wanted to call that out, that just based on whatever document you are going to send via eSign, you're always going to still get the same document options you would get applicable for that report or document. If this was, say, an application, we would see a different list of document options. For the APH report, this is what we're provided here. And you can see, I can scroll down and see all those different checkboxes. For simplicity's sake, I'm not going to worry about that because it's not going to really affect the actual eSign side of this. I just wanted to simply call out that these options will always be available to you regardless of what document you're using. So we'll go ahead and select next, which will then bring me to this screen here. You can see we have always had the add to queue, print now, but now you'll see we also have send to eSign. Simply just select that, that's what these are called, radio buttons, and then we'll go ahead and hit finish. From here, we're going to real quickly work on our signers. Now, I don't want to say maybe as high as 9 out of 10 times, but it could be that high. You're not even going to need to worry about this. You can just go ahead and just click next and skip right through. I'm going to take a little bit of time here and just kind of quickly show what we're looking at. But after you see what I'm going to do, like I said, more times than not, you won't even have to worry about this. You can just click right into the next screen. But what we're actually looking at here is the signers that are going to be signing this document. In this case, my agent, and I'll play the part of both agent and insured today, but the agent and the policyholder. Real quickly, just break down kind of what we're actually looking at. You can see it's going to reference the policy, the document we've selected. There's our APH report, and then our signers. In this case, John Doe, being my insured, and Mr. Gene Grimsley, one of our marketing reps, is going to be our agent today. Now, why I say you can most of the time you're going to skip through this is that you're going to most likely already have the appropriate cell phone number and email address for both signers. I'm going to show you real quickly how to go ahead and edit that, which is real simple. You can see that each signer has a green pencil sign. And if I were to select this for John Doe, you can see you can edit that information here. Now, the reason why we need this cell phone number, we'll see here in a little bit later, but it's part of the security process of this, and to make sure that no documents are being sent to the wrong person, basically, that who you want to receive this document is in fact receiving it. So we'll kind of look at this a little bit later, but here are the two required pieces of information we need, the email address and the cell. So for John Doe, this is actually correct. I don't need to edit anything. For Gene, my agent, I am actually going to edit this email because I don't want it to go to Gene. I want it to go to me. I'm going to real quickly just change his email address. Oops. I'm also going to adjust his cell phone number to also come to me as well. Now you'll notice just below this, the checkbox sync changes to entity. I'm actually going to deselect this because I do not want to actually change within EasyWriter Pro Mr. Gene's information here. I want him to obviously utilize his email and cell phone going forward. So I'm going to deselect that. But that's what this option will do, is it'll actually sync whatever changes you made here to that entity or that person. So from here, we are good to go in regards to the actual document that we're working with. In some situations, you may need to add an additional signer, partnerships, or LLCs, things like that. If you need to, you'll see just below, or excuse me, above the two signers we have currently listed, I can select Create New. And from here, you can see you can key in first, middle name, last name, email, and cell. If I were to, for example, change this just to my name and try to hit OK, I will get an error message saying that we do need that email and cell phone. So you'll get a little validation error asking you to fill in that required information there. I won't do the rest of it, but you can see that's how you can create a signer for the applicable document. This is also where you may need to adjust for different policy types in regards to the signing requirements. Now, this policy is just an individual policy, Mr. John Doe, so there are no signing requirements. But let's say, for example, it's John Doe Farms, LLC. Obviously, for all of our agents and even underwriters that may be on the call, we know that John Doe Farms, LLC can't be just signed as John Doe. It needs to be John Doe Farms, LLC by John Doe. So in that case, and I'll be the first to admit this is a bit of a workaround. We're already working on getting this so it's a little more, flows a little more smoothly. But in that example, what we would need to do is utilizing the last name field there, key in the John Doe Farms LLC, and then for the first name, this is where we would do, and you'll see here, and I'm just going to real quickly just key in my own email one more time. If I were to actually utilize this signer, that's how the signature will appear on my document. Now, just kind of bring this back full circle. Like I said, we more times than not, you'll skip right through this because you're going to have your agent obviously already there as a signer, along with your insured. I've spent quite a bit of time here, which does make it feel like this process is getting long. But again, 9 times out of 10, you're going to skip right through this. And once you do have the information in there and you've synced it to the entity, you won't have to worry about this any longer. I'm getting a little bit of beeping. I'm not sure that's myself. Actually, I can see who it is. Let me just real quickly mute this person. All right, there we go. So back to the signers here. Again, we spent a little bit of time here, Brick, just kind of looking at what's all available here. More times than not, you already have the cell and email in, and you would just skip right to next. I'm going to go ahead and actually delete this signer because we don't need it for today. We just need our insured and our agent. So again, I'm going to go ahead and hit next. And it'll bring us to the actual document. Now from here, I'm familiar with the APH as I would assume most of you are as well. I'm just going to jump right down to the last page because that's where I know the signature fields are. From here, you can see over on the left-hand side, we have our 2 signers that we've selected from the prior screen, John Doe, Mr. Gene. So I'll start with John Doe. I've highlighted him. I'm going to click the signature box. And you can see there it is our stamp. I'll make my agent's signature, and I'll place that there as well. You'll also notice below the signature, we also have check boxes. So let's say the application is a good example with the 6 questions they have to answer. If you need to put checkbox there, you would simply just highlight the insured and select a checkbox. Then you can click this. I'll just use these 2 as an example. You can see I'm adding checkboxes where I need to. If by accident you inadvertently click somewhere, you can see I've just added a checkbox there. I don't want to do that. You can tell it's highlighted by the 4 corners there. And if I need to remove that, up top here, you can either remove all, which will remove everything we've done so far, or if I just remove selected, you can see it takes that checkbox off. So from here, I'm good to go. I didn't need to do these checkboxes, just wanted to show you that. Normally, if this is an APH report, I just slap the insured signature and agent signature on there, and I will go ahead and select finish. Get a little confirmation message, and we are ready to move on to the next step, which is receiving emails. So I'm just going to go ahead and select OK there. And then I'm going to just actually close that down for now. Now, I already did this early this morning, so I already have an email ready. But I real quickly just want to show you guys, before I jump into those emails, back on the dashboard, under the key activities here, the key activities quadrant, that's what we call each one of these sections here, quadrants, you'll notice we now have an eSign section. If I select that, you're going to see the list of your policyholders or what you can applicably see listed out here for you to track. Now I have the NAU Country Training Agency listed, and I just did this. You can see it was all created today just to build the list, just to get a bit of a larger list for you guys to see. But this would obviously be a representative of your policyholders and what you're actually working on. In addition to this screen here, you can also either just double click anywhere in this grid or click the full dashboard link. Both will bring you to this section there. Here's that email we just got that we just created together. So here you can then select the different, in this case, it's all John Doe, but different policyholders for you and see where we're at in regards to the status. In this case, all of them are going to be waiting for signatures. This being the one we just did no more than 2 minutes ago. So with that being said, what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to first play a part insured. And I'm actually going to bring over my personal email onto the screen here. So I'll give that a second. Should see here shortly. There it is. So this is the email that we just sent ourselves. Again, no more than 2 minutes ago. Might have too many emails and it's just taking a little bit longer to show up. All right, there we go. So this is what the email your policyholders will see. Just in case it's hard to see with me sharing my screen, I'm just going to real quickly read you the actual email. It says, "Hi, NAU Country Insurance Company requests your signature on the eSign policy number listed there, document package. Prior to signing, we ask that you review the document for accuracy and report any corrections to your agent." Go ahead and select the blue button. This being, again, playing the part of policyholder. I'm going to select Go to Documents. We're going to be brought to this screen here. If you recall, I mentioned the cell phone, needing the cell phone number. This is why. We want to make sure that, in this case, John Doe is in fact the person that should be getting this email. So when I selected that blue button, I had just gotten a text message providing me this SMS code. I mean, it's almost immediate. The second I hit that blue button, my phone started vibrating. And it's just going to give me the code that I need for accessing this document. And again, the reason we wanted to do that is really to protect yourselves and your policyholders. We want to make sure that the right person is getting this document. Once we've keyed that in, just a quick disclaimer that we can just scroll down to the bottom and select Accept. And we have our document and we can begin to sign. Now, the APH report, obviously I've used a pretty simple document for today. It only asks for one signature from the insured. In the case where there may be multiple signatures or something of that nature, and you want to make sure that the insured is seeing all those different points, I want to focus on this button right here, which is going to simply bring the user, in this case John Doe, to the next applicable signature field. In this case, we only put one, and that's why we're referencing the number 1 there. This helps with just getting you right down to where you need to sign the actual document. I click there. You can see there it's going to give me a confirmation, and I, as the insured, just signed my document. Now, I'll be honest, I kind of ignored my message there where I didn't review anything, but for today's example, I know that this APH report's good to go. You'll see there it says completing signing this document, and the insured then could print, save, do whatever they like with this report at this time. Just be aware though, as of right now, the insured's only seeing his signature. He or she will get the opportunity to see both here very shortly. So that's how the signature piece works from a computer. Now, whether it's yourselves as the agent or the insured, the process is going to be the exact same for both of you, whether it's on a computer or I'm actually going to just use this opportunity to show you how easy it is from doing it from a iPad or your phone. So I'm going to real quickly just share my iPad. Should be seeing there shortly. All right, I'm going to select that top email there, and you can see here, this is what you as agents would receive. Again, I'm going to select the blue button. Again, we're all looking at my iPad here, and again, my phone just vibrated with my code. Like I said, exactly the same for agents and insureds. Oops. Let me just punch in this code here. like before, need to accept this as the disclaimer. So I'll just scroll down and select accept. Again, just to remind you, I'm now playing part of agent. You'll notice here we have the exact same button we did from the computer. This is all on my iPad. So I'll select that. John Doe beat me to the punch. He got to it signed first, so I'm already seeing his. So I'm gonna go ahead and just tap that area as the agent. Hit OK. And I have now completed my part as the agent. You can see here you have the ability also to download this document. And the reason that option is available to us now is because both myself, playing part of agent and insured, have signed this document. I'm going to real quickly close down my iPad. I'm going to call out that email right there. You can see I just got another email. Let me make it a little bit smaller. Sorry about that. This email came to my obviously my work email, but my work email is what I used for playing the part of agent. And you can see there it says everyone sign the document. You can click this blue button to now download the completed document. So that's the actual functional side of the eSign process. Let's real quickly just jump back into EasyWriter Pro. And I want to just take a look at one more thing. So we're back into the John Doe's policy here, policy editor. I'm gonna go back into the document manager where we started this whole process. And the reason I want to do that is I want to real quickly just take a look at this load scan documents. Now this, what we're going to look at is actually probably going to be a couple days old. Oh, don't do this to me now. I think I accidentally double clicked it. There we go. Good to see. So we'll use the APH report I did back on April 9th. These are all different eSigns I did. And the reason I wanted to show you guys this is that if you didn't, for example, from that email I showed just 2 seconds ago, you didn't, download it from here or save it or whatever the case may be, you always have access to these documents we've done using eSign here in the document manager, selecting that load scan documents link. So in this case, I did an APH report back on April 9th. If I click that, just double click it. Make this a little larger for everyone. I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit. If I scroll down to the bottom, you can see there that the references the actual signature. So this was actually done on April 9th, and it's in the policies document manager. In addition to the actual document we were working on, each one of these is creating what we call an evidence file. These evidence files basically just track, let me make this larger for everyone one more time. They basically track everything that took place with that document to include who was involved, the actual recipients. If I scroll down here, I'll just try to go slower so just you can see everything. Here's all the different things that took place with that document. They were viewed, when it was confirmed, when it was clicked to sign, when the text message was sent, everything. Everything is tracked and recorded. And again, that's part of the security side of this, is that we make sure that what was supposed to happen with that document between you and your insured did in fact take place. So each one of these eSign procedures will create this evidence file. Let me close that real quick. And then last but not least, and the reason I'm using these older reports is just because it takes a little bit to work through the workflow, what we call it here at NAU, but in probably 5-10 minutes, which will be after we've already ended this call most likely, we would then see Doug is requesting to annotate the shared content. Doug, I apologize, I'm not sure what that's going to do, so I'm going to decline that for now. But again, within 5 to 10 minutes, we would see the APH report we just did here, and I just didn't want to wait for that to happen. But last but not least, I also wanted to real quickly bounce back into the dashboard. And if I refresh, so this is that one we just did. If I refresh it, it's obviously going to change to the new status of importing. And that's what I mean by it showing up in the document manager under that load scan document. Once this is done, you would see it show up eventually in the complete folder here, which you can see I've done that several times, including one yesterday as well. If you select that, then you can see when everything took place as far as when it was created, signed, and the status. Again, this is kind of just an additional tracking information for any of the documents that you're working with in regards to eSign. I skipped over this. I apologize. I'm going to jump back into that open option there. I just wanted to real quickly also point out, if you're still awaiting a signature and your insurance can't get the email or didn't get the email, you can always resend it utilizing this action column here. Simply click that, it'll resend that email, and then hopefully everything will work out the second time through. See, I'm going to real quickly just kind of jump over to their chat here and just see if there's any questions. It looks like Lucas has been answering a few for me, which I appreciate. Thanks. Thank you, Lucas. So I'll just kind of sit tight there on those. Again, that is essentially what the eSign process is. From this point on going forward with the additional webinars, we're going to start looking at some different pieces of functionality that's within eSign Pro, our mobile app, farmer and agent portal, and tie that together with this eSign process. For example, production reporting, which we'll most likely talk about next week, and some of the different options that we have available to you all as agents, and so that you can obviously remain safe, secure, and efficient while getting, while we get through these times with the corona outbreak. Like I said, I do have everyone off of mute, so I can't really take everyone off of mute at this time just to see if there's any additional questions. So I'm just going to sit tight for just a few seconds here, reading these chats, make sure everything gets, the questions get answered. But while I do that, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for obviously taking some time out of your busy schedules. I know that even with this pandemic, we are all very busy. I know that you guys are all taking care of your farmers and whatnot. So again, I want to say thank you for taking some time out of your day. If you do have any questions, or if anything comes up after you start playing around with this and clicking with this, because this is all live today, you can do this today, what we just did. Please, again, try to get hold of your marketing reps and or underwriters. If you can't get a hold of them, or if it's whatever the case may be, just a missed disconnect, you can always reach out to myself as well. My name is Adam Flynn, and you saw my email there several times, which is just at adam.flynn@naoucountry.com. With that being said, Jeff, I figure, is there anything else you wanted to add to this before we call it a day?
No, we did have a couple questions on the chat, Adam, that I think you could probably answer. And one, does eSign work with all platforms? And the other question, if you want to answer that first, as far as iPhone or other MacBook, I don't know if you could answer that question now.
Yep, yep, good call, Jeff. As far as does eSign work with all platforms, when you're in regards to the email piece, absolutely. Just kind of just a reminder, the actual initiation process always needs to take place from within eSign Pro. But if you're receiving those emails on an iPhone, I'm a big Android guy, and I've done it on my personal Androids. Your MacBooks, all those will work in regards to once you've clicked that blue button and you're brought to the actual eSign process. Yes, they'll work on any and all platforms.
Another question that showed up, Adam, thank you for that answer, is when you're in the resend of the email, if you notice that the email address was incorrect, can you correct it from that resend page? Good
question. So let's actually just take a look at that here together. So I'm going to click it right now. So let's say that this email here for John Doe was incorrect. You can see there, you sure you want to resend this invitation to AM, so on and so forth, and you would say yes. And it's going to stay with this email. If you need to adjust this, you would unfortunately need to reinitiate the process, the new document, and then adjust it on the entity itself, as we can't change it here. So that's a good question. Also wanted to call out Hope Flober, one of our VPs here in IT, just referenced a link in the chat. That's a tips and tricks, which covers everything that we just looked at today. Really good tips and tricks, very easy and simple to read, and basically just follow step by step all the processes that we just went through. Just as a reminder, I did record all this, and all of this will also be placed on a new playlist that we're creating on our YouTube channel so that you can reference it at a later time as well. Lucas, looks like you got Ethan. What if I said no? Will that allow you to change the email? No, it's just going to bring you right back to where we started here. like that. Good questions, though. Let me see here, because I might actually be able to pull everyone off of mute here without too much feedback. Let's try that once real quick.
Sorry, there's a consequence, trying to get people things.
And kind of what I assumed was going to happen. So I went back to mute there. I'm going to sit tight. I'm going to sit tight on the call here. And just I'll keep the actual webinar here up and live for any other additional questions that may come in through the chat. But for anyone that is good to go or feels like they understand what's going on, feel free to leave. But again, I'll stick around and keep this chat board here open so that we can continue to get any questions that may come in. So again, for anyone that wants to take off, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day, and have a great rest of a Wednesday afternoon. And just for anyone that remains on the call, I'm going to go ahead and just read these messages, these chats out loud. That way that we're all just getting the same questions and answers. Can one email be used more than once? Example, younger client also using email for older father. Yes, because you'll just, it's the actual email that you're referencing is tied to the entity. So let's say that I'm the younger grandson, and Darth Vader is my grandpa, and we both want to use the same emails. Darth Vader is going to have amflynn25@gmail, and so is Adam Flynn. It's just going to be tied to the actual entity. So you can use the same email for different people, correct? Also, and just to add to that, since it kind of brought back to my mind, you can do this for multiple documents at the same time. If you recall, when I was adding the APH report in that very first process, if I were to add, for example, an APH report and a insured confirmation, you could send those two documents at the same time for the same job. So you have that functionality as well. Should our agent's contact phone number now be changed to their cell phones? That's a great question. Probably something that you want to work with your reps just to see how that would work. Fortunately, the first time you use eSign, if you recall that sync to contacts checkbox, the very first time you edit that number to be your cell phone, that will then stick for good. So you wouldn't need to actually do this. You would need to adjust it to your cell phone every time. Is there a size restriction using eSign? Another great question. There is, but we have yet to even come close. For anyone that may be familiar or recognize my voice, I did a lot of the training with easy mapping. Just one of my things that we like to do here is easy mapping, obviously. And those create the biggest documents of all of our documents, especially the easy mapping schedule of insurance. And it didn't even come close to the size restriction. But just for everyone's FYI, it's 16 megabytes is the size restriction.
Adam, this is Jeff. Do you want to cover the time limit on the SMS code and how to refresh it?
Good point. Thanks, Jeff. So there is a time limit on the code that's texted to you or your insured, and that time starts the second the blue button is pressed. So if your insured receives the email today and doesn't get to it till tomorrow and it has not clicked that blue button, no issues, no concerns. The time only starts once they've clicked that blue button. If they surpass that 5 minutes, it's okay too. They would just need to jump back into that email and re-click the blue button that just says go to documents. And what that's going to do is going to resend a new SMS code, new text message. Good point, Jeff. Thank you. If the insurer does not have a cell, they can't take advantage of eSign, correct? Question mark. That would be a correct assessment. Yes, we do need to have, or at least they need to have access to someone's cell phone number, whether it maybe it's a grandson or son that could take care of that small piece of responsibility. Then they could. A couple calls ago, I did with just one single agency. I actually had the text message sent to Hope Floberg, one of the folks on the call today, and she just relayed that text message code to me, and I was able to key it in. So that's one possible workaround, if they do not have a cell phone themselves, have that code sent to another cell phone that they do have close access to, whether son, grandson, whatever, and they could utilize it that way.
And again, dual verification is for security purposes, so we're not sending it to the wrong email address and somebody else gets somebody else's data. So that's the reason behind the dual verification. Looks like the chats have slowed down, Adam. I'll take this time to I think we might as well go ahead and close out. Want to thank everyone for joining us. And hope to see you next week at the same time, and we'll be discussing production reporting. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jeff. Everyone have a great rest of the day. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your market reps or underwriters. Thanks a lot. See you guys.
Adam, good job.